Hey everyone, I'm super excited for today. We have an awesome live stream planned. You've probably seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail, and I've got quite a few people really excited to share their story, their journey, answer any questions you have. So we're going to have so much fun. So enough from me, let's get started. So we do not just have one, two, but three, but four, actually maybe five, including me, 5 stars, GitHub Stars to bring on stage who are excited to help you become the next GitHub Star. So Gina joined first. She was like 20 minutes early. We've been geeking out for the last 20 minutes. Let's bring Gina up. And Gina, thank you so much for being here. And I see Mario has just joined. Ruth is getting ready. I see Debbie has just joined as well. Okay, awesome. Ruth, give us a shout when you're ready. Great to have you all here. Going to be super, super exciting. So let's do some intros. Okay, so Gina works full-time in open source, and I just think that is so super exciting in a 3D printing space, which is amazing. But Gina, please give yourself a proper intro. And while you're doing that, I'm going to drop your links in the chat.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So hi, my name is Gina Heuske, but I also go by the nickname Fusel on GitHub and on Twitter, on pretty much everywhere else where I was able to grab that nick. I am the creator and maintainer of a little project called, or maybe not so little anymore, a project called Octoprint, which is the snappy web interface for your 3D printer, and which is basically like a web interface / remote control thing for consumer 3D printers, which I've been maintaining since late 2012, full-time since 2014, and full-time and 100% crowdfunded by my user base since 2016. So yeah. And
Awesome.
as I said, I work on it full-time. I work on it every day. Apart from weekends and vacation. It's pretty amazing. I never expected this to ever become like my full-time job or anything. It was just a pet project, but here I am. And yeah.
That is so awesome. I think it's just super exciting that you are working on it full-time and you have loads of support from the community, and you do monthly chats with them and so forth. It's just epic. We're going to dig deeper into that in shortly. So next up we have Mario. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. My Portuguese is always really, really bad. How you doing?
Hi Eddie, I'm fine. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Gina, Debs, Eddie. It's amazing. Be part of the GitHub Stars group is awesome. And yeah, you pronounced it well. I believe that for many countries there's a small variation, but Mario is pretty fine. And well, I am a software engineer. Actually, I work at Nubank in Brazil. That is a very popular bank here, and it's going to Latin America. But I have a great love in teach people and to work with education and to make things easier to people who learn tech-related stuff. And I worked for 3 years in a programming school here at Brazil. Before I worked in a publicity agency, and now I split my week working daily on Nubank, and in my free time I try to take a rest because it's important, and to take care of the community that I'm building with my YouTube channel, and I try to support some open source projects when I'm able to, opening issues, giving code contributions. But my dream is to be like Gina and to live from my side project, and make the YouTube channel be part of a thing, a greater thing. So having more people contributing on it, have people that supporting the project. And now my next step probably will be creating a Discord community. Well, I'm working things up, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to dig deeper into what Gina does, what Gina plans to do, what you plan to do. We're going to dig so much deeper into it, and we're going to got so much support here from the community. It's super exciting. Just to remind everyone, I have left Gina's link in the chat and also Mario's, and I will drop in Debbie's and Ruth shortly. So, Debbie, how are you doing? How are you doing? Just not far from me, all the way in Palma, just across Spain. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Can you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah, we can. And people are familiar, I think, with Gina from my channel and with yourself and with Ruth from my channel. I haven't had Mario on yet, a live stream, but it's something we will fix in the near future. And my live streams with Debbie always very entertaining, apparently, because Debbie bullies me. But
I do not bully you.
hopefully today will be some less bullying on that side. So please, give yourself an intro, Debbie, because I won't do it justice. And I've been practicing the one for your previous role where you were into Nux, and now you're more into React, I think. So let us know.
These things happen, you know. So yeah, my name is Debbie, and I'm based in Palma. And basically, I came from the world where I worked in a company that if I put a blog post online, they basically told me to take it down because you're not allowed to share information. And how dare you write something on company time and post it to the world? So that's where I came from, and I didn't like that. And I just kind of thought, I learned from so many people who've written blog posts, who've done YouTube videos, who've done all these things. And why should I not be able to share my knowledge? So I am so grateful for the fact that I have been able to find an amazing job. And I previously, in my previous company, which was Nuxt, and Nuxt is open source. I worked with Nuxt on just completely open source. And now I'm working for BitDev as a developer advocate. And that's there's two parts, right? But there's a fully open source part, which is what I'm mainly involved in. And then obviously they have a cloud solution part. And my role is to help build the community, the open source community, you know, move things from Slack into GitHub discussions, get people more involved, get more people using it. It's free. And I want to help developers. I really feel that I can help developers learn how to code using Bit by making their lives easier so they can get websites up and running out the door fast and easy. And, you know, it's not going to cost them anything. And I think that's just using open source. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be able to build and work in open source and obviously be a GitHub Stars, just so cool.
Awesome. And you're wearing your GitHub Star t-shirt. I think that's extra points to Debbie and a fail to us for doing that. Missed that one.
Mine is in the laundry.
Yeah, mine also. I have 5 t-shirts from GitHub and I try to use them once in a week. But my coat is on laundry now, so I'm with my Star Wars one. But
come on, you had 2 weeks notice. 2 weeks notice.
But I had another event this week.
Everyone watching, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Before we get into swag, let's do the intro to Ruth, who you know from my channel before. But Ruth, please give yourself an intro. We've geeked out before. It's awesome to have you here. And while you're doing that, I'm going to share your link in the chat.
It's nice to... You can hear me?
Clearly, we can hear you. All is good.
Nice. So it's nice to be on your stream again. I think the last time I was on the stream was last year, right? Last year, June, July or so. Yeah, so it's nice to be here again. When I was here, it was, me talking about the start of my journey, being 2 months, and it's been over a year now, right? So I'm Ruth. I work with animals as a technical content manager. So basically what I do is I write technical content, but then I'm also a super fan of open source. So I am also part of GitHub Stars. That's why I'm here to tell you how to become a GitHub Star, right? And, one peculiar thing with me is, being a GitHub Star just with less than a year experience, which is something I'm going to really touch upon during, the live stream, having a little experience, but then being among the stars. So I'm going to touch upon that. But also, aside doing a lot of open source stuff, I also do public speaking, speak at events, on how to get people involved in tech generally, because I came from a microbiology degree, right? So I studied microbiology back in school, but I also, try to get others involved with tech, because definitely over the past 1 year, tech has changed my life. So yeah, I also want to get other people involved, and I also love eating cake. So I look forward to everyone else will share, and also what I'll share. Yeah, so back to
awesome.
you, Eddie.
Thank you so much for those awesome intros. I think it's great. I can't wait to dig in deeper. And there was one comment which said, we're GitHub Stars. We don't need to wear the GitHub t-shirts. But no, we do. 10 points to Debbie, definitely. The rest of us minus 5 points. And it's just great. So everyone watching, you know, I'm going to ask some questions. We're going to have some discussions, but I really want to include all of you watching in the audience, your questions, your thoughts. So do write down your questions. Put a Q in front of it so I don't miss it in the chat. If I do, apologies. Just wait a few minutes and post it again. So let's just dig a bit deeper, right? Maybe we go back around in the same order, but I'm really keen if people could give more of how you got to where you are. I know some of our stories are longer than others. And I know people like me talk too much, and I'm not going to talk too much, hopefully today, and hopefully I want to pass it all over to you, amazing people. But if you can explain, I suppose, how you got to where you are, and maybe include, I don't know, some of the challenges and some of the key points that you thought were, like, you know, really important to make sure you did those. So I was going to start with Gina, but maybe that's a bit mean. Maybe we like, no, who wants to go first? Maybe we throw it out to the floor and see who wants to go first.
I'll go first, but it's really long. And I talk too much, so I'm gonna try and do a very, very shortened version of this. So how I got to where I am today, well, it was by chance in a way, because I was studying to be a secretary because I thought that's all I was good enough to be. I didn't think I was good enough to go to university, so I went to do a secretarial course, and it was very boring. So while I was in the secretarial course, I saw someone doing graphic design and web design, and I kind of jumped in there, and I was like, this looks cooler. Why can't I do something like this? And can I do it? So I did, and I completed that, and I got a job straight away. But this is back in like 1990 something. Like, so we're back in the day when Amazon was just a blue screen with a load of text on it, right? So I got bored, and I moved to Spain to be an entertainer on a stage because that was much more fun, you know. And I left the kind of web industry a little bit behind. But then I tried to get back into it, and I went into Flash sites because that was the cool thing back then. Then I moved on to WordPress websites because that was kind of cool. And basically, like, you know, tried to get a job. And I had moved to Mallorca. I'd settled in Mallorca, so I'm in a very small island. So I was very limited, right? I couldn't, you know, there wasn't the big companies around. So it was very, very difficult. And I did get a couple of jobs in some small startups. And they kept on running out of money. So I kept on being jobless. So I kept on having to look for another way of earning money. So I became an English teacher. So I was constantly working like 80-hour weeks and just like constantly in and out of jobs. And it's not very secure. I was constantly working weekends, and I was having a terrible life. But that's life, and you just go on with it, right? So it came a stage where I was like, right, you know, something kind of happened in my life that was like, you know, made you kind of say, right, you need to change something. And what can I make a change of? And I decided I need to change my career because really I wasn't happy being an English teacher. I wasn't making a lot of money. And it was just, I was working like terrible hours and stuff. So I decided I'd go back to full-time studying. So I went back to try and learn JavaScript because that's what I was missing. I had great HTML skills, great CSS skills, but I couldn't do any JavaScript. And I couldn't learn it on my own because I'm not the type of person that just finds it easy to learn. I need some help. So I managed to find a course online, which was Open Classrooms. It's based in France, and we had a mentor who actually, you know, went through my code and told me where I was going wrong because I had previously paid a lot of money to do online. Well, they weren't online courses. They were online courses through email, right? Because back then that's how it was. And I'd failed various times. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try. I'm going to give it one more go. And if at the end of the year, I cannot get a job in web development anymore, then I'll just go back to being an English teacher, and I'll know I tried my best and I tried to be a developer. So yeah, it was very, very hard. I spent all the money I had saved up, like absolutely every penny. We were like basically taking a bet on our life, on our livelihood, and we didn't know if we were going to make it. And I just studied 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I locked myself in this room, and I basically did. We didn't need COVID, right? I locked myself within lockdown and just studied the whole time and just tried my best to try and get a job. It was very hard, very, very hard because I'm not someone who finds it easy to learn. My mentor was brilliant. I had great people around me who told me I can do it, who told me they've also been through it. They've also found it difficult, that it's normal to find it difficult. It's normal to feel that you can't do it. It's normal to kind of want to hit your head off a wall and just like walk away and come back the next day, and then it just works and you don't know why. So yeah, basically after all that studying, I got a couple of job interviews, and it was terrible because nobody wanted to employ me and I didn't have enough skills. It was a very long road. But after 9 months of full-time studying, I finally got hired and I basically got a job, and that's the end of the long story. And then there's another story to get to where I am today. But yeah, it wasn't not easy. And I look at all these awards behind me, and I just kind of still can't, believe it, because it's like, how did I get there? How on earth? I was like 4 years ago, I couldn't write a single line of JavaScript, and now I'm here. So it's incredible.
Wow, you got so many great comments. I mean, bringing it up on the screen as well. I mean, you get loads of support and people saying, "Wow, it's hard work." And it isn't easy. I think anything that's worthwhile isn't easy. And I think, but you were consistent and you persevered. And I think that's really important with anything. Learning something, the gym, whatever it is. I think you need to be there. So that's. Wow, that's awesome. And we have had some questions, but I'm going to hold off for the questions for the moment. I'd love to just keep going around and hearing people's stories, and then we're going to get into some of the questions from the audience already. Okay, so who's going to throw their hat in the ring for next? Who's going to go next? I see Gina smiling. I see Ruth smiling. Mario is not smiling. Okay, now he's smiling. Okay, go ahead. Just jump in. Whoever's ready. We're all friends here.
I'm jumping. Okay.
Jump.
So yeah. The question is, how far back do you want me to go? Because this whole journey started for me like 30 years ago or more than that. So, and I was like 6 or 7, because back then my parents got the first computer. I must not say PC, because it was not a PC. It was an old Apple IIe with a monochrome display, and that thing could not do much, but it could play games, and it could do BASIC. So this very basic, literally, programming language. And little me wanted to play games, and my dad was like, "No, this is not a toy. This is a working machine, but I can show you something." And then he showed me the very first lines of BASIC, and I could not speak a single word of English yet. And BASIC is, like pretty much every programming language, is English, so I just had to memorize all of that without it making any sense at all. And that was like someone had given me Lego bricks to play with that would never run out. So I was instantly hooked. And as soon as I learned that being a software engineer is like a career, is something that you can actually become, that was like maybe in 7th or 8th grade or so. I knew what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I tailored my whole life towards that, like getting into the computer science course at school, which meant becoming very good at math, because otherwise I couldn't get into that course. Then getting into a good university to study computer science, finishing that, and then initially I wanted to actually do a PhD as well. But once I learned that this involves way more writing stuff and writing and applying for grants than actually writing code, I figured out that's maybe not what I want to do. And so I became a corporate drone in a software solution company thingy, and that went on for some years, and they constantly tried to promote me away from the code. And like, this was actually what I love about my job. I love playing with code. I love creating stuff. I love writing code. I love also like debugging things, like this is all like a puzzle game for me, or like who's done it. Something breaks and you have to figure out why. And it is so utterly rewarding when you then finally out why. And this is stuff that I was constantly getting promoted away from. And so I started doing more coding on the side. And at some point then I got myself a 3D printer and wanted something to control it, because I didn't want it to sit here next to me in my office the whole time it was working, but I wanted to just be able to shove it into a spare room and then monitor it from remote and just look on my phone or on a PC screen or something in a browser. And nothing for that existed yet in a way that I wanted it. So I just sat down and wrote it and threw it on GitHub and figured, hey, it's working. It's doing now what I wanted to be. That was fun. Back to my job. And then suddenly people were writing to me from all over the world, like, hey, I had the same problem. It's awesome that you solved it. And can you make it also do that? And hey, it's not working with my printer. What could the reason for that be? And suddenly it just became this whole full-fledged open source project that I had never envisioned, and it became more and became more. And I reduced my job to 80%, so that I had 1 day per week to concentrate just on this. But this also wasn't enough. And at some point, I was approached by a company that was also doing 3D printers, and they were like, "Hey, we like what you do. Don't you maybe want to do that full time? We'll employ you so you can do this full time, but you will still control everything." And that was like the absolutely luckiest catch ever. And I'm incredibly happy that this happened. So I went for that. The company, after 2 years, couldn't afford this whole 3D printing and open source funding stuff anymore. So that was when I had to do the crowdfunding, because I figured, so back then it was either I go back into my old job or a similar job, or and drop the project, because at this point it was way too big to do it on the side, and it was just unhealthy. It would have been utterly unhealthy and not feasible to do that. And or I at least try, if I cannot, maybe make it funded, get it funded through crowdfunding. So I tried, and hey, it's still working to this day. I do not know how long it will continue to work, but so far it's working. And while it's working, awesome. I'll try. Yeah.
I think that's great. And I suppose I shouldn't really dig into people's stories just yet, but I'm quite keen. Is it growing? Is it kind of just keeping consistent? Is it declining slightly? How are you confident, I suppose, over the next 12 months, if you don't mind me asking?
It's growing. So the user base is growing, and also the funding keeps, thankfully, it's not growing fast. I'm still not at a position where I could say something like, hey, awesome, I make enough that I, with a good conscience, can hire someone to help me out or something. But at least it's not going down. And yeah, that's amazing, pretty much. And I mean, frankly, I think if I had not tried that, it was a jump into cold water, pretty much, and entirely out of my nature, because it was putting myself into a position where I had completely and utterly no control at all at first. And I don't know, 200 kilometers out of my comfort zone. But I figured if I do not try that, then I will probably bite myself in the butt for the rest of my life for not having tried that, and always wondering what could have happened if, and such. And so I'm really glad I did this. I did make this jump, but for the first couple of months, it was like feeling like I was drowning.
I think that's amazing. I think it's. I mean, everyone's got so many great stories, but I love this. You were 200 kilometers out of your comfort zone, and you gave it a go. And same with Debbie as well, right? Put everything all in. An expression that Sarah and me have used recently is called like burning the ships. And what we mean by that, just to explain, is I think back in the day, I can't remember who it was, but someone was going to one country to another country to attack. And people always said, okay, they were afraid to lose because they were outnumbered or something like that. Don't worry, we've got our ships. We can always retreat if it doesn't work out. And the general, whoever's in charge, I don't know the terminology, actually burned all the ships. And they said, no, there's no retreating. We're going to win this, and that's it. And so sometimes we use that. We go, you know what, we're burning the ship. Let's just go in. There's no going back. We're just only going forward. And I hear that with a lot of these stories here as well, which is you gave it a go, but you gave it a real go, all in, and it worked out. And I think that's just amazing. Such awesome stories. Can't wait to dig even further and see also what you got coming up. We've had some great questions in the chat. Everyone, do keep them coming. I will go back through them, and we'll get to those questions shortly. We've done 2 intros. We've got 2 more to go. I promise I won't say anything about my intro. You've all heard that 100 times before. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, next up we have Mario. I think Ruth wanted to go last. I saw in the private chat, Ruth was like, Mario, you go first. So Mario, please, same question to you.
Well, so giving the English version of my introduction. Hello, folks. How are you? And, and well, as I said before, I'm Mario Soto. I never tried to introduce myself like this in English, so it's my first time. So don't be angry by my English. It's not the best one, but I'm trying to. And well,
it is amazing. I just want to say, I have to interrupt. It's amazing. I wish my Portuguese was like 1% of your English. I can't even order a drink. But in my defense, everyone speaks English. So it's kind of like when I'm struggling, it's like, I would just speak English. It's much easier. I'm like, yeah, it is much easier, but I'm never going to learn. But no, your English is epic. So sorry to interrupt. Keep going. You're doing awesome.
Okay. Thanks. And well, one thing that I have to say is that open source always was around my life and things that I was doing. And one thing that always impacted me through my history in programming and my life is that I believe that good people always need to have opportunities, because if you do opportunities to good people, things amazing will be created. And well, I started my journey in development playing Tibia. Have any one of you played Tibia? The Cipsoft game, very terrible graphics.
I don't think so.
Yeah, terrible graphics. Everyone remember.
I haven't played it, but a buddy of mine was on the dev team.
Oh wow! Don't say anything bad. It's a great game. It's awesome.
Well, I played Tibia since I was 80 years old, but I didn't have a computer in my home, and I didn't have access to much money. So every money that my mother gives to me or my father, I used to go to houses that have computer that in Brazil they were very popular, and I played Tibia there multiple times. And when I was 10 years old, it seems that I will tell you the story of my life, but I am only 23 years old, so I'm kind of young. And when I get the computer in my house, people from my family think that I will be so addicted to Tibia because I was always playing it, and not only Tibia but Ragnarok and in other games that were very popular in the MMO era. But I was not just interested in play the games. I was interested in how they work, how to create my own version. And then I discovered that there's an entire community that's called Open Tibia Server. That it's the people make the reverse engineering of Tibia. So Gina, I have to tell you, I don't know if it's legal, but
You're in Brazil. You're safe. It's okay.
Oh my god!
And my buddy doesn't work for them anymore, so.
Okay. But the Open Tibia community try to create multiple mods and create the own version of Tibia. I know that in that time I create multiple servers and I try to build variations on top of it. So I create a Tibia version of Pokemon. I create a Tibia version of Naruto. I try to make Tibia works as a template for creating multiple things, and I learned English in that process. So I didn't know anything on English. I didn't have access to courses, but I have internet and I have Google Translate, and it helps me a lot to translate things that I read in forums and etc. I know that some open source Tibia projects are now on GitHub, so I know that people make evolution of the software over there. And this was just the start. I didn't know that in that time I was doing programming stuff, because Tibia was built, this version was built on top of Lua, that is a Brazilian programming language. But I didn't know exactly. I just read that there's I call everything as a script, and I read that scripts, and things were not very clear to me, but I was able to understand some points and try to, well, if I change max level something, people get level faster. If I change this HP max, people get more life. So I was trying to every day just change values and see what change is being applied on the client. And I do this like 2 or 3 years, and then I try to participate of a process here in São Paulo, that is the city that I live in, to go to a programming course. And when I see that I was able to understand what the title tag in the HTML do, so I mean, like, I understand that if I write this, then the computer does that. I was, oh my god, this is awesome. And since this day, in that time I didn't have a computer in my home, so I go to some colleagues, that is some person that was my friends, and I use their computers to try to run some code. I say, well, look how this is amazing, and I try to do some code there. And I was doing this around the course. After this, I got my own computer again, and in that time I was finishing everything. I got my first job, and then I discovered the tech events. And I didn't know that there's a so huge community around events. And for me, it was like amazing. In one day, with 7 talks, I was able to learn more things that I learned in the past 6 months. And I get so excited on top of it, and I get so excited to share things. I want that one day, oh my God, I want to be the person that share how we are doing things in the company, and how amazing things can be. And like 2 or 3 months after it, I discovered the platform Meetup, and I discovered that a programming school in Brazil called Kaelon Alura, they kind of sponsor one of these meetups that is located in São Paulo. And when I give a suggestion of talk, the meetup accepted the CSS meetup in São Paulo, and then I get the support from the teachers of Kaelon that helps me to give a good presentation, teach me how to teach code to people in the presentation. And they really liked how I am excited and everything else, because before I get into programming, I was the guy that takes care of children in Paris. I mean, that guy that takes care to people doesn't hurt in the balloons and everything like that. And I worked like 4 or 5 years with this. I didn't earn money to pay for my lunch, but I have my parents and they support me a lot. And giving all my excitement and everything else, I became a teacher at Kaelon after 2 years working with programming. And then my life changes, because I was in an environment with multiple people that contribute to open source, with people that was able to do multiple things cross area, and since the day that I get into there, I try to do multiple things related to education, and I always try to be part of events, to contribute with open source and everything like that. And actually, I try to move things with my YouTube channel, saying things about Next.js, React, front-end development, to more people have access to the tech community and to become developers also.
I have to make a note before we get into it. I have to make a note. It's going to say, when I do a live stream with Mario, Eddie talks too much, Mario talks too much. So we need not 2 hours. We need like an 8-hour live stream. I'm just, making a note on a bit of paper. So everyone remind me, live stream with Mario is going to be like 10 times longer. But no, that was awesome. Everyone loved the energy and the story, and I think it was great. So I'm only pulling your leg, but no, that was awesome. And what a story. And, you have a YouTube channel, which I think is great. But you only live stream in Brazilian, is that correct? In Portuguese, I mean.
Yeah, I do some live streams. I in the past month, I was trying to do once in a week. But for me, as I'm doing many things in my personal life now, I'm not being able to do multiple live streams. But the plan for the end of the year is try to do one live stream by week. So that's the
And will it be in English or in Portuguese?
Will be in Portuguese. So if you want to learn Portuguese, come with me.
I need to do that. Right. Okay. I need to start learning a bit faster. I'm going to step up my game and do that. But yeah, what a story. Thank you so much for sharing, Mario. Okay. Last but not least, we have Ruth from Nigeria. Yes. Let's hear your story, because everyone's story is so different. And I think people can relate to different stories, which I think is super exciting. So Ruth, please go ahead.
Sure. So I really loved Mario's story, and something I took off from it was, when you give opportunities to good people, they like shine. So I started, my tech career. That was last year, March, after finishing, my degree, my microbiology degree in school, 2019. So I have this friend that, shout out to Peace or German. She's a designer. So she was, doing a lot of tech stuff then while we were back in school. So I got interested, right? And then she was like, okay, you can actually learn this by yourself, right? And then I was like, okay, well, how do I start? And then I said, let's give it till next year. That's 2020. Then 2020 came, and there was the COVID, the pandemic came up, and I
Oh, Ruth, we lost you for a second. No, I think we lost you, Ruth. Oh, I was just about to get really good. This is like suspense, this is the practice for the Netflix documentary.
Yeah, This is what happens live, right? You do things live, and this is what happens.
But it's all part of the fun. Okay, Ruth, when you come back, give us a shout.
Oh dear.
Yes, and
it's a lovely positive vibe that her standstill image there is.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
exactly. Yes, I'm gonna drop a link to Mario's channel. I'll do that now as well. Okay, Ruth will be back in a moment. Don't worry, we will hear from Ruth's story. This is Mario's channel. First technical issue. Oh, Ruth is back. Here we go. Ruth, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, my network. Sorry about that.
No problem at all. If it's easier for you, you can feel free to turn off your. I mean, I really like having the camera on, but if it's going to be easier, then feel free to turn off your camera.
It's fine now. It's okay now.
Awesome. So you were saying COVID, I think, is where you got to, but please.
Yeah. So 2020, right? I started. The COVID started in March, right? Started March. The pandemic, the whole shutdown and everything started in March. So I was like, okay, I'm stuck at home. I can't go outside. So I had to, pick what to learn. And then I finished. Like I studied microbiology, so I needed something to really link it in with tech, microbiology tech. I was doing a bit of a research and everything. So I learned that Python, is very applicable with biological sciences. Then I said, okay, Python looks easy. And then I read a lot of blog posts that said Python, was easy to start with, and the syntax is quite friendly. So I, started learning Python. I think I was using there was this site I was using. Okay, I saw some YouTube videos on Free Code Camp, but then I was not really a video person, so I would sleep off watching videos. So I did more of text. So I started, learning from home. I got my dad's computer and started learning from home. And then I attended a talk. A tech talk. It was in person at the time. Then there was no shutdown then in like Nigeria at that point. So it was in person. So there's the speaker that's one of the speakers, Ada. She's the founder for She Code Africa. So she talked about sharing her journey, from when she started, and she was also, a microbiology student. She also did microbiology like me. So I could really relate. And then I took out a lot of points, which was like sharing my knowledge in public and, putting myself out there. So after the month I started doing 100 days of code. And usually I'm the kind of person that really gets, I get less motivated. Sometimes there's nobody to like push me. So I started doing 100 days of code, and I started sharing my journey on Twitter with the hashtags, people that, do that same 100 days of code, just, gets on your feed. So I started doing the 100 days of code. Every day I would share what I did with Python that day. I was really so excited, and people would comment. I knew I would like screenshot or take a picture of my code on my computer and then post it. Some people would like say, okay, you can do it this way. So I basically, what brought me to this point was, sharing my journey. I remember sharing, doing a live stream with Eddie last year on, the talk I wanted, my first talk. So Eddie said, okay, we could do a practice like on his channel. And then I got on the channel and we, did a live stream, and I practiced on how to give the talk. That was like my first talk. And I had that 3 months into, starting the whole tech journey. And so far it has been a lot interesting, because open source played like a big role to where I am right now, even with GitHub, the GitHub Stars award, being part of the GitHub Stars. So I got into open source like 3 months, contributing to starting tech, and then I started sharing how to use Git, because I struggled a lot with Git. And after I learned a little bit of how to use Git, so I started sharing, okay, this is how you can use Git. I started writing up proposals to give talks, and so that's basically what got me here. So that's about me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Got lots of support in the chat as well. And the question was, and we've got one question actually specifically for you, Ruth. Did you become a GitHub star during the pandemic?
So it was. I think that was in October. So
I think it was just before.
Before October, right? So I think I was.
I think it was just before the pandemic, if I remember correctly. But my memory's terrible, so no one trusts me.
I don't know. I also became one, I think only in something like September 2020 or August maybe. So I actually was under the impression that it was a program that only launched in 2020. So it was pretty much a pandemic kind of baby.
Yeah, I can't remember. My memory's terrible.
I think it launched in 2020 because it was just like 6-8 months to take when I got the Stars Award. I think it launched in 2020. During the pandemic.
Awesome. So we've got some questions in the chat. If everyone can do me a favor and rewrite your questions in the chat, save me scrolling up pages, and let's answer some questions. Debbie's laughing. That worries me sometimes because she's usually laughing at me.
But yeah, skills of just fun.
Write your questions in the chat and we'll bring them up. I know Koalia had a couple of questions and the same with other people. Here we go. Thank you so much for Koalia for rewriting your question. Others, please do the same. Pre-prend it with a Q as well. So this is a question to all of us. Did people's opinion or thoughts about you change when you became a GitHub star? Feel free to jump in. I'm not going to call on people.
For me, definitely. And like my last job, like the first thing that they did when they tried to contact me to employ me was congratulations on becoming a GitHub star, and then started like going in. So they'd obviously seen that I had become one and investigated what I've done and et cetera, et cetera. So 100%, I think people kind of see that you're kind of out there, that you know what you're doing with community work. And I don't know, I think it's just, it definitely gives you a platform to kind of like be seen, which is important.
That's also actually what I was going to say, because I do not really feel like it changed people's opinion of me, but it just made me way more visible, because before that I was in this 3D printing niche and almost no one knew me or had ever heard about me. And I would not say that I now get strangers on the street going, "Oh, Gina, hi," but at least I have now gotten my feet into more areas. I've also gotten more, I don't know, I dare to do more stuff now. I dare to put myself out as a consequences now as well, because I noticed, okay, becoming more visible due to being a GitHub star didn't cause horrible things to happen. So maybe I can just try to give this talk and try to give that talk and try to apply to this conference. And so that has been pretty amazing, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's definitely opened a lot more doors for me in terms of conference talks and building the community and so forth. Definitely has given that visibility. But going back to what you were saying, Gina, I did have the other day, I was parking, I can't remember, somewhere just in Portugal. And I had someone, when we went into the shop or to queue or something, I can't remember what it was. And they went, "Oh, that's you." And I'm like, "Please recognize me from YouTube." My first person recognized me. "Oh, you're the one who parked in that really small space." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I parked a big car in a small space." Great. Thought they were going to say you're like the GitHub star or you're the YouTuber. And it wasn't. Like, I got excited for no reason. Yeah, it was very...
Okay, that must have been quite the letdown.
For some reason, I was just thinking that. I don't know why my brain just honed into that. Just the way they said it, and they were trying to as if they're trying to come up with my name or something. So I was like, yes, it's Eddie Child from YouTube and a GitHub star. No,
I had a similar situation a couple of years ago, actually, when I went for the first time ever and for the last time so far on the shooting range, because I simply wanted to know how it feels. Anyhow, I'm standing there waiting for introduction, and the guy giving the instructor is like, "Gina, is that you?" And I'm like, "Are you a user?" Or "It's me from Introduction to Psychology back into..." And okay, we went to university together. All is good. So it turns out the dude who taught me how to crack a lock also taught me how to shoot a gun. But okay, that's something else.
Unrelated coincidence. What about you, Mario?
It's strange because in Brazil, when the GitHub Stars the program starts, it was more popular with the front end community. So as in the front end community, many people say, "Oh my God, you are a GitHub star! How to be part of it?" And many people says that. But one thing that was really awesome is that now I have much more contact with people of other countries than Brazil. So recently, I am a huge fan of React Native, and Tadeu Zagallo, that's also a Brazilian, that was part of React Native. He followed me on Twitter, and I was, oh my god, Tadeu Zagallo came follow me on Twitter, and we were chatting about React Native and things like that. Another day, Levero likes a tweet of me, and I'm a huge fan of Levero also. She teach me CSS, and she don't knows it, but she teach me. And I'm very happy with that part of have contact to people that I've never imagined to have contact with. And like, for example, I didn't know that was a huge open source project related to 3D printing before I meet Gina inside the GitHub Stars Slack. And I believe that the Slack is also a huge tool for us, because I remember that once we have to record some phrases for GitHub, and I say that one amazing thing of being part of the GitHub Stars is like the world is smaller, and it's very easy to have access to people from different countries and have different opinions, and people support you if you post a video, if you post a live stream or something like that. I believe that's the thing that most changed.
Awesome. Yeah, so true. The GitHub Slack is really great, where we all can geek out on, and with the GitHub engineers and GitHub team and so on. Absolutely. Okay, let me bring up the next question, unless anyone wanted to add any more to the previous one.
Okay. So I want to add something. So
sure.
When I got nominated, right, I think I put it up on Twitter, and then I got like a lot of followers. I got like, and it was just a nomination, right? Like I had not yet, gotten it, but it was just a nomination, and I had like, I think up to 1K followers, extra followers.
Wow.
Like everybody was like, congratulations, and I'm like, I've not gotten it yet. Hold on. but I think the next week, I got the mail that, I was. And then also another thing was, at that time for some months, I was like the only female then in Africa. And then it was like a really, really good thing to, hold on to, and, helped me continue the whole tech journey. And yeah, so that's what changed.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. Great to hear there's positive vibes before becoming a GitHub star and then becoming a GitHub star as well. I think that's awesome. A question from Ison. How do you stay motivated for day-to-day work and programming? This is a really good question. If everyone's go on, Gina, jump in, go ahead.
Yeah, so that is actually, it's like mental health and preventing burnout and stuff. This is like a huge theme for me, because I struggled a lot with that, especially in the beginning with Octoprint, when it was just a side project as well, and trying to balance that with my daily work life as well, and also of course my private life. And then at some point it became a full-time job, and then things actually at first got worse, because it was really, really difficult to shut off after a day and just leave work at work and have a regular private life. And I think the key for me, at least, to stay motivated is to really draw really strong boundaries between my work and my private life. So for example, after this year is finished, it will be my weekend, and I will not touch anything Octoprint related or even GitHub related or otherwise work related until Monday morning, 9 a.m. or something. And this is crucial, because otherwise you just constantly keep mulling over stuff. You constantly check mails. You constantly look at notifications. I have a tweet pinned to my private Twitter profile that tells people, hey, this is my private Twitter profile. If you want to mention me with anything Octoprint related, with any kind of issues or something, don't, because I want to be able to check my Twitter after hours and on vacations and weekends as well. Go to that other account of mine. And I think that is the most important thing, really, is that you need to listen to yourself. You need to notice when you are no longer being motivated, but the things that you actually love to do usually. And these are warning signs that you have to recognize, and then make sure that you do recognize your boundaries, to enforce your boundaries, also defend them against others, and that you bring the fun back in. Also, sometimes by just doing something else for a while. If I have been fixing a bug for 2 weeks and I'm getting frustrated, then I will do a little tiny mini feature or a supporting tool or something like that, just so that I can get a change of scenery and don't die or something.
It's true. Sometimes you just need to step away, either do something like fun and exciting or something completely different. I mean, such great advice. And yeah, in the Eddie Hub community, we've got like a wellness channel. We are trying to focus on the whole work-life balance as well, because yeah, sometimes we can get like our blinkers on and then just focus on what's right in front of us and not realize one day goes past, 2 days, a week, a month, and we haven't really kind of done anything else or any exercise or anything just different. So great advice. I saw Mario put up your hand earlier as well. Why are people putting up their hands? This is not a school classroom. Just jump in and say, Eddie, shut up. My turn to talk. So Mario, go on in.
I have to tell that I can agree more with Gina and you. Be conscious about your mental health and have clear separation. So this is time for work. This is time for my hobbies, and this is time for other stuff. It's very important that context switching, considering the time that we are now, that we are only at home and we have not multiple opportunities for doing other stuff. So having separations is very good. And for me, a thing that motivates me, one of them is to pay my bills, because paying the bills is very important. and the other one is that is to do side projects. I really love side projects, but I try to not be compromised with them. Like, for example, now I'm very happy that I know how to put energy on an Arduino board. I never programming in anything related like this, and now I'm able to do a full ambient light on my TV. So when I'm playing my Call of Duty sessions and the other games that I play, I have ambient light, and when the explosion happens, I see flashes in my wall and be, oh my god, this is really awesome. And I built this with code, but I was like, it's code just for my hobbies and not code for like do another crude or do another login form or something like this. It's using programming for the things that will make me happier.
I did exactly the same thing last year around Christmas. I have an Ambilight, a DIY Ambilight setup now mounted to my TV, powered by WLED and Hyperion NG and like an HDMI grabber card and a 4 times 2 HDMI switch matrix, and it's amazing. It's so much more fun to watch movies and play games now on that thing.
Everything be amazing.
It's just like, something explodes and it goes woo, or you have this teal and orange situation in movies that is so often used for color coding scenes, and it's the whole wall is just in these colors. It's amazing, awesome.
and the cable management is. Sorry, I can't. Sorry.
I said you two are way too hardcore for me.
That is pretty hardcore, yeah. I'm just happy to do a couple of simple lines of code, and you're bridging the gap between the real world and the virtual world, and that's pretty hardcore.
Speaking of that, you brought it up, the virtual world. I think one thing that's very important as well is to make sure you don't feel guilty for taking the time off. And that's something I felt a lot, because I've been working every weekend during the pandemic because there was no life, right? So my life became my work, open source, everything. I just worked nonstop. And I was happy. My people, the only people I seen were, when I'm on my YouTube live streams and things like that. And then life has become a little bit more normal now. And I've started to do more sport and go out a little bit and take some time off. I'm not actually opening the computer at the weekend. And that's the first time I've done that in so long. And you do feel guilty. You do feel like I'm not there enough for people anymore, and I should be back on the computer, and I should be this. So it's important to not feel guilty for looking after yourself.
That also excludes so for the longest time, I actually felt guilty when I was falling sick. I have the sniffles, I'm down with a fever or something for a week, and I feel guilty that I'm not sitting on the PC and writing code. And that's the wrong mindset, really. I think the most important part is of being a maintainer and also of just being a human being, really, is looking after yourself, because usually no one else will, and making sure that you take care of yourself, and that involves taking vacations, that involves taking sick days, that also involves taking mental health days if that is necessary. For example, during the pandemic now, especially last year, but also this year, stuff just became too much some days, and then when I noticed I couldn't concentrate anymore, I was like, okay, I'll simply drop the hammer now, because otherwise whatever I write, I'll have to delete anyhow again, because it's buggy as hell. So I might as well just stop it now and do something else with my life. So for today. And that is important, and nothing to feel ashamed for.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, very, very well said. What about yourself, Ruth? What do you do to make sure you don't burn out and find that balance?
I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly.
Well, I love the honesty. That's fine. I mean, I love the honesty.
Then with a new job and still trying to balance off things, I'm still trying to figure that out. But what I try to do during the weekends, to avoid like burnout and the rest, I try to like hang out with friends, do something not work, so that I get off work at least for 2 days that we have in the weekend. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk about was motivation to keep going. I think there was a question around that, right?
Yes, was that? Let me see. Stay motivated day to day. The one up on the screen at the moment. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Add your thoughts.
So, for me, it was, I put in a lot of work currently to be where I am at this point. So, for me, it was the fact that I could see people that I have influenced to do better, right? Whenever I wanted to like give up or say I'm not doing this anymore, I could go to my blog post and see comments that like this article really helped me to sort through this bug, or this article helped me to get into open source, or this talk, listening to you speak about it and how you have scaled through it, helped me, motivated me. So those things were like things I could use to keep going, right? Because then sometimes you get like so less motivated, and even programming does not work, like you going back to those things you really enjoy does not work. But then when you see how much quality impacts that you have made over time, even though it's a short time, like even though it's just a blog post, even though it's just helping someone write something or helping someone get through something. So when you see those things, and you just want to keep going, because yeah. So that's what I wanted to, add for that question.
No, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I love hearing different people's experiences and how they do things, and because it might just be me, but I find sometimes I get the balance. I can never get the balance perfect. I sometimes do too much kind of like work takes priority, and then I realize that, and then I sometimes go the other way, and then I start taking like my maybe too many breaks and not working enough, and like it's kind of like I seem to have this kind of like sinusoidal wave, but I feel over the years I've got it closer to like that happy balance. I think before in the past it was like this, and now it feels a bit more like this. It takes practice. I think it takes time.
It works too much, but I try to do more sport, and I'm doing my sport in the morning, because I find that if I get out and do my sport in the morning, then I'm just going to work all day. But if I don't do my sport in the morning and think I'm going to do it in the afternoon, I never leave this room. I just keep working, and I just, so sometimes it's about changing the way you do things so that you can take a break.
And one important thing is don't try to do many changes in the same time. So if you want to make be a continuous thing, do sports or do another stuff, try to do one thing by time, because this gives consistency and makes the process more natural. It's
absolutely. I've got so many GitHub notifications. I'm sure lots of you do as well, especially Gina, that I try to like watch a movie maybe in the evening, and I'll catch up on GitHub notifications, and then by the end of the movie I feel I haven't watched the movie, I haven't enjoyed it, and I've done like 4 GitHub notifications that I could have done in like 5 minutes if I had just kind of focused and done it. So I feel I did neither. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes you just need to either focus on work or focus on just having fun, and I'm really, really bad at that, but I'm going to.
I wouldn't just say sometimes. I would say if you work, then you work. If you do not work, then you do not work. If I'm watching a movie, then I'm watching the movie. I'm not scrolling through GitHub notifications. I actually never scroll through GitHub notifications because I do that through emails and have some filtering and all that in place there, because otherwise I go crazy. But you get the point.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, thank you, Mario, for saying I have a talent for being a host. I'm trying to, I've been practicing over the last couple of years, hopefully get better and better. And I love the support by Koalia. Okay, so I'm going to jump to Vincent's question, because Vincent's in the Far East in the Philippines. I know it's going to be quite late for there. So let me see. I've just lost the question. The whole chat has just jumped around. I had it all ready to click on it. So here we go. Here's the question. What piece of advice would you give to an aspiring GitHub star? I love this question. Who's going to put up their hand first? I'm joking. Don't put up your hand.
I would say that it's really about putting other people before yourself and trying to help other people as much as you can. Sometimes we think that, our blog post is not, we don't need to write it because someone else has written it. And that's true. Someone else has written it, but they haven't written it in your words. They haven't written it the way you do it. Sometimes we think we're not good enough to share the knowledge we have, and everything that you've learned, you can help someone else. And I think Ruth is an example of that, prime example, right? Because she's coming from not as many years experience and she's able to be here. So just get out there and be yourself. Do not try and be anyone else, and just try and help people by just sharing the knowledge you have, because you do have knowledge and your knowledge is worth sharing.
I love that. Ruth is a great example, right? People think, you've got to have 10, 15, 20 years experience, but you don't. And I love that. I love how it's, how the GitHub program is diverse in terms of experience and everything else. It's like brilliant.
Yeah, something else I would love to add to Debbie's point is, creating a niche for yourself, right? Part of being, because then sometimes in tech, people think that, they're different areas already occupied, so there's not much I can do. But you can actually create a niche for yourself. For example, for me, I started off with wanting to advocate for beginners coming into open source, because then it was really, really hard for me to get in. It was just, the energy I put in. That's why I was able to force through, right? So it was really hard at that point for me starting. So I started advocating for people to come in to the space. So it was a niche. It was what I was basically doing. And, GitHub recognized that, because part of all my contributions I put up on my GitHub profile was, talks and, articles I've written about beginners getting into open source and all those other things. So I created that niche for myself, right? And Debbie also talked about, putting community, right? Think about the community, people you can push forward, right? So creating quality impact, and not looking at the quantity of what you want to do, but making it quality, even though it's 1-2 persons, right? So that's something. Then public learning too is really, really helpful. Twitter tech community is so great. There are so many opportunities flying here and there on Twitter. So you can, like Mario said, when opportunities come to good people, they shine. So you can make do of opportunities, by publicly sharing what you do. And so that's it.
I love that. I think it's great, right? Public sharing what you do. Like you said, you were sharing as you were learning, as you were going along. And someone who's only maybe 1 month into a career to someone who's where they were a month ago. And so, I think we can always help someone who is, just, a few steps behind on their journey. And I think that's really important. And also, I think someone mentioned earlier, explaining it in a different way is really, really important, because, I use this example all the time. I'll keep it short, because I'm sure my community have heard it all the time. But when I did Java 15 years ago, I used generics, but I didn't understand why I used them. I used them because I copied kind of the pattern, but I didn't really get it. And I'd ask all these senior people, and they'd give me all these complicated explanations. I go to conferences, people explain it to me. I still didn't get it. I remember queuing for the canteen at lunchtime at a conference, and this person said, "Oh, I'm quite new to Java, but this is the reason why I think we use it." And I was like, Why didn't anyone just say that before? That just makes complete sense. And after that, my world had kind of changed because I used it with like more of a purpose. And that person themselves was kind of already saying, wow, I'm quite new. I've only been doing it a couple of years, but this is my thought. But they explained it so well. And so, yeah, don't be, I think everyone shouldn't belittle their explanation. It could really, really help someone. So definitely share it. Love that. And
I would also like to maybe add a bit on top of Debbie's approach. I would say that don't just try to concentrate. And I think you do not want to target, or do not want to focus on becoming a GitHub star. You also do not want to try to do a lot of work in order to have a very, very how do you say? My English is leaving me right now. Sorry, it's late. a very lively GitHub activity graph or something. So like you should be doing these things because you are intrinsically motivated to do them. You should want to help people in order to help people, and you should work on open source in order to work on open source, and not in order to become more interesting for future potential employees, or in order to one day be a GitHub star. Frankly, I had never heard about GitHub stars before I suddenly found a nomination letter in my inbox. So that was like, okay, that this exists. I had no idea. Okay, but hey, I'll take it. Yeah. So what I think is really important is that that stuff like this, I think good things happen to people when they do them because they want to do them, and not because they do them because there is some kind of reward at the end of some literal rainbow or something like that. So no, it's figurative rainbow.
Basically.
What?
It's not
Sorry.
the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. We are not doing this for gold medals, but I mean,
we get the gold medal, it's good, but we
but
do
we'll
it.
take stars.
We'll
take
it.
Stars.
We are happy when we get this kind of recognition, and obviously I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, I have the plushie over there, and then I have my actually the only physical award that I've ever gotten. I have it here, and also that one, also the other one that's over there. So I'm absolutely amazed, and I also have this contribution graph in metal that I got. So I'm totally thrilled about this, and I keep these things around me.
mine's left in the UK, so I'll just hold an invisible one for now.
But I'm not doing all of this to get this. It's absolutely amazing to get this kind of recognition, and it feels. I cannot even put it into words how it feels after all these years of working on open source and all that, but I'm not doing it for that, and I'm also not doing it in order to get donations and to be funded or something. I'm doing it because I want, in my specific case, I want to help people to use their 3D printers more efficiently and more user friendly and all that. And I just want to. I really just want to help people for some reason. I don't know why. It's weird, but yeah.
I think it's a good reason.
I totally understand, and I totally agree with all the points that you all bring to that. And I believe that there's a correlation when we speak about money. Like, for example, I see some people came into the tech world saying, well, there's huge amount of salaries and people getting rich and everything like that. But when I start to code, I was like, well, I want to work with computers. And then I get into my first job, and then I get to the second one, to the third one, and this flows naturally. Actually, I'm very happy to pay my bills, to have a good house to live and everything like that. But if this was my main focus in the first day that I started, I'm full sure that after the first year, I was, oh my God, when I will get to the end of this? Because the most important thing is not the end, it's the process. So everyone here have their own contributions and their own motivations to do the things that we do, and GitHub sees something on it, and GitHub is trying to help us, giving more some devices to enhance the quality, giving some support for making a community, and make the world smaller for everyone be in talk with each other and be connected. I totally believe in that point.
Yeah, collaboration, kind of support, community first, I think. And, I do get people asking me some strange questions sometimes, like I get DMs saying, what do I need to do to become a GitHub star? Or I think they're kind of, maybe asking the wrong question. It's more kind of, how can I help people? And then you, as mentioned, you kind of, these are all, they shouldn't be the goal. They should be the kind of the positive side effects of it. And like one of the questions here now, how to become a GitHub star. Let's bring that up now. I don't think me personally, I don't have the answer. I would say contribute to open source, collaborate with people. And I say contribute to open source. I don't say contribute code because it doesn't have to be code. But that's the best advice I can give, but it's not what people want to hear, I think. They want to hear, I want a checklist of 3 things. I must create the biggest PR to the busiest, fanciest project, Kubernetes or React or something. And then I need to do a talk at some event, and then I'm a GitHub star. And I don't think it kind of works like that.
And it wouldn't mean anything if they did that and followed those 3 guidelines and got it. It wouldn't mean anything to them.
Exactly. I agree. So yeah, I think just
I would say that I have one friend that always say that the life is more about the side effects than the poor things that you are thinking that you are doing.
It's true. I think if people can, you've got 5. Well, I say 4. I'm not a great example. You've got 4 great examples of what people are doing, and it's all so different parts of the world. We've all had different backgrounds, we've all had different, education, etc. And we've all kind of ended up in a similar place. It's not the same, it's still very different. But I think lots of great examples there. And there are, I think, another 30 other or 40 other GitHub stars as well. So you could check out the stars.github.com. I think they see what other people are up to. Interesting. I'm going to pick out some more questions. Loads of great questions coming in. I like this question from Kushi. Kushi, awesome to have you here. I'm just jumping a few questions. So how do you think becoming a GitHub star has helped you contribute more towards the community?
For me, it was, it gave me the confidence to actually kind of believe in myself more. And it also meant that, because remember, GitHub stars are nominated by people. So someone out there thinks I'm doing a good job. So that means my work is meaningful to people and not just one person, right? So basically, I think that just helped me kind of think, wow, this is worthwhile doing. It's worthwhile me continuing doing my YouTube channel, which was very slow to start off, and I didn't have many followers. I was happy with my 5 followers on Twitch, and now all of a sudden I'm like a GitHub star, and now okay, so those 5 people mean more, because that will grow. And you don't have to be like Eddie, who has thousands and thousands of followers, right? you might get there and you might not, and that's not even important, but you're helping people. And I think just becoming one just made me feel like, yes, this is worthwhile. Keep contributing and keep doing it and keep sharing knowledge, because it's useful to people.
And I think it's not only useful, we also learn. I think when I share something, I get some feedback. Some people might say, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? Or the way by me trying to document it, rather, I prefer to use the word document rather than create content, but document it and to share it, it makes me think of it very differently. And therefore I think, I didn't think about that. Or I can't explain that very well. I kind of do it, but I don't know why I do it. Let me go research a bit more, and I find I learn it a lot better.
For me, it was interesting in that, so I mentioned this niche that I was in earlier, and becoming a GitHub star actually allowed me to somehow step out of this niche. And so when you become a GitHub star, they also said, or are nominated to become a GitHub star, they send you a link where you get a form where you have to fill out an application, and there you also have to, there is a field where you also have to describe what you hope to achieve by becoming a GitHub star, basically. And I remember I put in there that I was hoping that me becoming more visible as a woman, as a female maintainer in open source, would allow more girls, actually, primarily, but also just young women, to see, hey, this is actually an option. And there are people there who, like me, who do this full time and who can do that. And just making women in open source a bit more visible. So that was what I put in there. And that is actually something that I can say with confidence I have been able to contribute more now, because I have gotten interview opportunities and I've gotten podcasts and other opportunities outside of my normal bubble, and have actually been able to get an interview about women in open source into one very big German magazine now, about just through the GitHub Stars program, because they basically hooked me up with the journalists. So
awesome.
That is amazing for me, because I mean, people, surprisingly low number of people in the 3D printing space actually know who I am, because they think Octoprint is like done by 12 guys or something. But still, I am a bit more visible in there than I am in the overall tech world, and the Stars program is helping me to change that and slowly get my foot a bit more into a broader space, and that is really great for me to be able to act as this kind of signal piece. So I've actually gotten mails and DMs and such that told me that I am a role model for people's girls, and that is amazing, because this is something that I wish I had back then. So yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's great. I think it's just so much positive energy from everyone's stories and everyone's goals. I really love that. I think that's great. There's so many awesome questions coming in as well. Does anyone want to add any more to this question, or I'll move on to the next one?
Yeah, for me, it was like, it motivated me 4 times, like times 4, because the energy I was putting in, I just multiplied it by 4 after getting, being a GitHub star. And then when I got the award, everything motivated me to, keep sharing the story, keep talking about it, keep getting more people involved with open source, keep collaborating. So it really, it's motivated me a lot.
I think that's awesome. Okay, we pick up the next question. I'm trying to keep track of all the questions. I think Mario would take back his comment about Eddie being a great host, because I'm dropping the ball a bit now. But let's see how it goes.
No, let's see the next question.
So what's next for you after becoming a GitHub star? Astrid, thank you so much for the question.
Give a TED talk.
Oh wow! Okay, nice.
That's
I really want to actually do that. That's and also after learning about the GitHub Stars program and becoming a GitHub star, I got to know of other programs like GDE, Google Developer Expert. I got to the MVP, Microsoft. So I got to know about these programs, and I look forward to them too.
Nice.
Well, I would honestly just love to meet the other GitHub stars in the real world, because we only know each other through some Zoom calls and such, and that would really be the next big thing for me.
Please, GitHub, take us to San Francisco.
I mean, after the pandemic is over, or at least it's better managed because Delta variant and all that, I really don't want to board a plane right now. But once this is all over, I would really love if it would be possible to somehow do a get-together some place on the Earth that is somehow easily reachable by plane. Because, so far it has been a bit of a virtual experience thanks to the whole pandemic situation.
No, that's true.
Yeah. I mentioned San Francisco because the GitHub office is there, and I have a dream to go to that office and see the thinking GitHub statue that they have there.
I'll take some good pictures with it.
Yeah, everyone there making some pictures and things like this. But that's a really good question, because I believe that becoming a GitHub star is like one more rocket in our. Oh my god! I totally forget how to say that. But it's like a backpack. It's like a backpack with a rocket, and it will help us to reach more people and to impact more people with things that we are already doing. So after I became a GitHub star, in 2 years I created a YouTube channel that was with 0 people. I became a GitHub star with 3,000 subscribers, and now I am with 30,000 subscribers. So like in less than
more
2
than
years.
Me. Wow, you got more than me. That's amazing.
You need to learn Portuguese, Eddie.
I know. I think so. I think so. And when Gina was talking, I had to laugh when you said GitHub Stars. The reason why I don't know if we have Karuna in the audience. I think I saw her earlier. I don't know if she's still here. But she always takes the mick out of me because instead of saying green squares, I said green scares. And it sounded so similar to what you said. I was like, it's not just me, but English is my only language, so I probably have less of an excuse. So but thank you so much, Gina.
I have the excuse. It's Friday evening in a conference week. I've spent the last 3 days busy watching talks and giving 2 of those. And English is not my native language. I think I'm holding up well, but sometimes stuff happens, so you have to bear with that.
You're doing really well.
But well, in the end, I would be very happy if everyone that is starting with technology in Brazil, at least, that is people that I have more contact, have easy access to GitHub, and when they release like features like the GitHub. The VS Code that they have inside the
code spaces.
The code spaces. When code space release, oh my god, I want to be on each part of Brazil and say, well, you can code from your phone and with a less cost device, and I totally believe in that, and that's my dream.
Well, hopefully soon. I think GitHub Spaces has been in beta for a long time, so hopefully soon, and hopefully the pricing isn't too crazy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And Karuna is still here. Awesome. Thank you very much. Karuna is still here, so that's great. I'm going to scroll down because I think Nick makes a really good point. The rule is if you have more followers than Eddie, you have to pay tax. That's good, like that. There you go. You've got more than me, Mario, so you have to pay some tax. No, just joking. Okay, I really lost the questions in the chat now. I'm doing a terrible job, but I like Jeff Knowles says focus on the community. Awesome, loving that. Loads of great support. I think I kept the questions up way too long on the screen. I've missed out on so many great supporting comments, so my apologies. Raphael, hopefully I pronounced that right, says creating boundaries is really important. So yeah, absolutely. I'm terrible at that. I actually want to do a video. I'm going to try and do one like in the next week or two of me riding my bike and being on my laptop, and it'll be like a skit, and I kind of fall off the bike, and I want to try and I don't know, it's going to push my video recording and editing skills to the limit, and hopefully no laptops will be hurt in the process. So we will see. And we've got lots of great support. I think Gina shared this in the private chat on StreamYard that from Koalia saying we should do streams of all of you individually. Yes, I'm definitely up for that. And we can see lots of great support here as well. Okay, we're almost going for an hour and a half, so let me try and... Oh no, Mario's laughing, I'm scared. What did I miss? No, nothing? Okay, good. Okay,
I thought maybe... just happy.
Okay, that's good. You can be happy. That's good. I thought you're laughing because someone I made a pronunciation mistake and he's laughing at me. I'm behind in the chat, so I'm not sure what's happening right at this moment. So I got a bit nervous. Okay, cool. Okay, so everyone, don't forget to put questions in the chat per queue at the front. I am trying to see everyone's loving the great support and everything. That's great. Okay, I've done a terrible job. Right. 5 stars from Koalia. Cool, that's good to hear. No laptops were hurt. Okay, so, right, I don't think I've missed any questions. If I have, everyone please kind of copy them, paste them back in. So we're going for an hour and a half, and I know some of us have to leave shortly, and I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time. I know you're all busy. So what if we were to do, we might go a few of us might go on a bit longer, but let's make the assumption of the worst case scenario where we don't. What kind of final remarks, closing remarks would you like to give to people, I suppose? If seeing some of the questions we've had, anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered yet, this is a safe, free space for everybody. Okay, free space for everybody apart from Mario, he has to pay a tax. But safe space, to share some from your experiences and words of wisdoms for everybody. If not, we have got questions coming in, so I can pick up some of those.
I will answer one of the questions. Someone put something in the chat. I don't know where it is, but they mentioned about where to start in open source, something like that. So, and I think it's really important to know that don't go looking for something just to do. Try and do something that you like doing. Like if you're involved in a project, I actually made a pull request to the React docs literally yesterday because there was a mistake in the link to one of the conferences. Right, that's contributing to open source. Now that link should be fixed if they merge my pull request, and people will be able to get the details of that conference. That's an important pull request because no one would have seen that, right? So you don't have to be like the person who's building some sort of hardcore feature, like Mario and Gina. They're the hardcore people doing all this light behind televisions, right? You don't have to be doing that. You can start up with something very, very small. I started just by contributing to the Webpack documentation, and that sounds very hardcore, but I actually did something very, very simple. And then from there, it gave me confidence to kind of say, wow, I didn't break everyone's website. I didn't break Webpack. It's all good. I can keep doing this, right? So yeah, just kind of like, what are you working in? What do you like doing? And try and contribute to that. Documentation is always a great start. If you are amazing and you want to do like something hardcore, then that's also very cool. And most projects will actually give you that kind of like, how to contribute, and just go ahead and do it. Don't like hesitate, just make that effort, but don't just contribute just for contributing. Contribute because you want to, not because you're going to get brownie points, right? Contribute because you actually want to contribute and enjoy it.
Totally, Debs. I totally agree with you. And as you mentioned, contribution is not like create a new feature. It's like keep things working and keep things worth for everyone comes after and see if it's working. Like I say that I have like an end to work that I go to see every template that I use from Next.js and try to update it. So when Next.js release a new version, I see that, like for example, the style components project and the GraphQL as example that they have is not being updated. So I download it on my machine, try to do some tests and do it. So this is like just an updating example, but multiple people will use it. So because every part of an open source project is meaningful and important for everyone that will use it. And not only the code, like creating blog posts and creating issues. If everyone create a new issue when they reach a problem or try to seek if there's another issue, every project will be much greater because people will be aware of things that should be solved.
If they include logs.
If they include the right information.
The issue, yeah, exactly. So if they include the information that you can actually, fix the issue, because I have a bit of a problem with people creating issues without including the required information.
Definitely need context. Absolutely. I definitely need context. And one thing I think in the Eddie Hub community that I love that everyone does, I get so many GitHub notifications, but a lot of them, like probably 80% of them have been dealt with already. I see people going through the history and putting a comment in. They might not be able to close the issue because they're not the author, they're not a maintainer on the project, but they put a comment in saying this is a duplicate of this issue. And that adds so much value to me and the community, because when I get to it, I can just click on it, I can check they're the same, close it, and I haven't had to remember because I have terrible memory or search the history and so forth. And so much value can be added just by helping maintainers. And I think that is really important.
I have a bunch of people, one of them I actually just spotted in the chat who helped me with moderating the Discord community and the forum community. And this just puts an incredibly load off my shoulders that I do not have to take care of that on top of everything else as well, right? So everything helps. It's not just implementing a new feature or even fixing a bug in a PR. It's just chiming in on an issue. Hey, I can't reproduce this bug in this browser environment and in this operating system, or I cannot reproduce this bug in this environment, or blah, or something like, I think this is a duplicate of this other thing, or there is now a plugin that does this, so this feature request can be closed, and these things help enormously. So it's really everything like that is contributing. It's not just writing code. It's not even just writing documentation. Everything that helps a maintainer having to do less other stuff is already helping a ton.
I think it's great to see some comments in the chat as well, agreeing with you, but also explaining, I think, different situations. So, for example, Nick is in the chat, one of our moderators, one of the most active moderators in the AD Hub community, and he loves doing it. And he's a machine. I don't know how he does it, as well as coding at the same time. But so much value comes from that. And then we've also got, Carl in the chat as well, for example, who prefers to not moderate and do more pull requests. And that adds so much value to our projects. I mean, he's pushing our API project so fast I can't even keep up with PRs. And so apologies, Carl, I'm saying it publicly. Sorry that there are some PRs waiting for me. I think that's great. And then you've got, Karuna, who's another moderator, and Kawalia, who isn't a moderator, but adds so much value by helping other people in the community, saying, oh, you're having trouble with this? Well, we've got a blog post on that, or here's a community blog post, or a pinned comment someone did from before. And so it's it's great. It's all about adding value to the community and standing out. And I want to say one thing I always say, which is use your name, your actual name in GitHub, Discord, YouTube. So therefore, when you are doing all this great stuff, then if you suddenly start talking on another platform, people can say, oh, that was that person adding so much value to Discord. Now they've DM'd me on Twitter. I'm going to accept and engage with them, rather than thinking it's some random person with some really weird username and a picture of like some dog's or cat's butt or something. You think that's might be spam, or I'm not interested. And you don't realize, I felt really bad. We have them in the chat. Someone left a really nice feedback on one of my YouTube videos. It's like, thank you so much. Took a screenshot, shared it on Twitter. And then they said, oh, well, that's me. And I was like, but you're a different profile picture, different name. Like I had no idea it was the same person. And, it's kind of, you cannot tag them, you cannot kind of give them the credit that they deserve, and so forth. So yeah, absolutely. I'm going to jump into this question from Karuna, because I really, really love this, because I have really strong opinions on this. I'm going to go last. Did you have a mentor in your journey to becoming a GitHub star? If yes, how and who motivated you to stay on track?
Everyone goes quiet. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think you can say you have a mentor for your journey to becoming a GitHub star if you think that we were on a journey knowing that we were going to be a GitHub star, because we weren't. We were unaware that this was going to happen. We didn't try and apply for something. It was nominated to us without us even really realizing that we were going to get something like this. But did I have mentors in my journey to doing what I did to end up becoming a GitHub star, which is a little bit of a different question? I would say yes, because I didn't have mentors in the sense of that I had someone who I paid for, or someone who constantly told me what to do. But I had mentors and people I looked up to. So I looked up to certain people. Sarah Drossner, for example, from the Vue core team, is one of my, she's a mentor. She doesn't know she's my mentor because I never told her. But follow in her footsteps. I look at what she's doing and how she's helping the community, and I try and kind of not do what she does, but try and aspire by her, and kind of also think, if she can do this, then maybe I can too. If she thinks if it's possible for her, maybe it's possible for me too. And I use that kind of way as a mentor. But motivated to stay on track. I think that's just about when you're going to conferences and you start meeting other speakers and stuff, and you start seeing that other people, we're all just people. We're GitHub stars, but we're all just people. We're all like any of you out there. We're all learning, we're all making mistakes, and we're all just finding our own way. And anyone can be your mentor. So just follow the person that you want to end up being and just try and, do similar things in the sense of whether it's a blog post or a YouTube channel or a streaming, whatever you do. But yeah, anyone can be your mentor.
If no one's got more to add to that, I'm going to add something. I agree and disagree with Debbie. But I agree, but I'm going to word it slightly differently. Everyone is your mentor, I believe. I feel I can learn from everybody. I've been before the pandemic, to teenage hackathons, and I learned so much from these teenagers who didn't know how to code, but they just looked at things very differently. So I really believe that, definitely look up to people. Absolutely, you're completely right, Debbie. See what they're doing and see what, cherry pick the bits that you think will work well for you and so forth. But I also believe that, and that's what we practice. Again, I'm going to kind of shout out Eddie Hub again. So sorry for self-promotion, but I love it how the community members, do believe they all, try and help each other. They all try and mentor each other. We all believe that everyone is a mentee as well as a mentor, no matter where you are. And I think that's just, I'm always learning. Like everyone here in the chat, everyone here on stage with me, I can learn from everybody, and I'm always learning, and I realize how little I know, which is quite quite scary sometimes. I think people get too hung up on trying to find that one mentor who's going to give them every answer and open all the doors. It doesn't exist. I do see people charging for mentorship, and it's just like, no, I think it needs to be a good relationship, not necessarily focused on money. Again, my opinion. But I think, not all relationships kind of work so well. I think everyone, to get advice from multiple people. Like, for example, take an example. If I wanted to do and that was focusing on make a living off it, I'd probably speak to Gina and somebody else and get different opinions. If I wanted to do React Native, I'd go to Mario, for example, and a few other people as well, because then I can get different opinions and make a decision from it, make an educated decision from the feedback I've given. So I definitely think everyone should have multiple mentors, and everyone is your mentor. I'm going to shut up now. I'm mumbling. Should I pick the next question? Or does anyone else like to add to that?
I just wanted to add one thing, because you said something that to me is very important. I think one quality that so far seems to be in common, that I seem to have in common with every single GitHub star that I've so far seen, and also every single passionate open source maintainer or active person there, is we love to learn, and we love to grow. And you do that on your own. You do not necessarily need one specific person who explains to you how to do that, but you get interested in something. For example, how do I make the back of my TV light up when an explosion on screen happens, stuff like that. And then you dig into it, and then you figure it out, and then you read blog posts, and then you watch YouTube videos and stuff, and then you learn all of that. And I think this drive to figure out how stuff works and how to replicate it and how maybe to build on it and use all the tiny bricks that already exist to build one giant Lego castle, basically. This is what drives us, and this, or at least this is what drives me. I'm assuming here, of course, but I think this drives a lot of us. And so I did not have some kind of mentorship ever in my life that I would classify as a mentorship. It was just like constantly trying, like a sponge, basically, to gather everything with regards to knowledge and best practices and such that I could get my hands on, basically. Also talking to people and listening to people, more importantly, and things like that constantly, and seeking out other opinions, things like that. I think that is crucial.
Yeah, listening. That's something I need to work on. It's true, definitely it's on my list of things. Learning in public by Nick, definitely. Open source everything. So, okay, maybe this is the last question for now, and we'll see if other people want to hang around for a bit longer and do some more questions. If not, then we can call it a day. So, how did you manage your time in work, self-learning, and helping other devs? I think that's a great question. Because we all have 24 hours in a day. So
yeah,
it does seem like Nick has a lot more hours in a day. I seriously don't know how he does it all, but like, I kid you not. I guess some people have more hours in a day, but they obviously clearly don't. So yeah, any thoughts on that?
So maybe some of you seeing this right now will now have a hearty laugh, but I actually have a school timetable.
Awesome.
So I do not always stick to that, but this is more like the guideline for me on how to structure my work week. So I have planned into that the time slots per day where I check emails and tickets and GitHub issues and the forums and all that. I have 1 hour of buffer space every day for anything unforeseen that I need to take care of, or stuff like bookkeeping or whatnot. I have dedicated time slots for maintenance work and for development work, and I have structured all of that so that there are actually breaks in there as well, and a dedicated end of day. And I have this stuck next to my work desk here, right on my whiteboard, and I consult it. And as I said, I do not always stick to that, but it is like if I completely divert from it, then I feel bad. So it helps in keeping some structure in your work week, and yeah, I can only recommend something like this for people who struggle with structure. Or who work better with structure, maybe I should say. So yeah, this is how I approach it. I don't know if others have better tips or other tips, but this is my approach. And I'm now going to pin it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it back safely
before it gets lost. So
if this disappears, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I have an electronic copy of it, of course, but
well, good. Well, I only use the electronic version, so I use Notion a lot for planning myself. I also have 2 videos on my channel about how do I try to make like Notion as an extension of things that I do. So I try to do all my notes there. Even if I'm scratching something, I try to scratch on Notion, because then I'm able to categorize things and everything like that. And I have a common database on Notion that I'm able to, well, this is a note and this have a time to do. So this I'll do next day, this I'll do next Monday. And I'm able to see, well, the day now is full and I can do anything else more like today. And I'm a very, I need to visualize things. And as Gina have, it's the paper version and the virtual version. I only have the virtual version. Notion helps me a lot to do that management.
And we've got, I use GitHub project boards a lot. So I have at my place in the UK also, I have like a magnetic whiteboard wall that I can just draw all over the wall and so forth. But I like the digital version sometimes because you're not always at home, especially more digital nomad. So I'm using GitHub project boards more and more. I find that quite useful. See other people using Notion as well. I used to use Evernote, but the new version, I'm sorry, Evernote is useless. It just cancelled my subscription. It's terrible. It wants me to update like every 30 minutes. It's like, no, I don't want to keep updating. Goodbye. So, yes.
Well, I will be honest and say I think I manage things terribly because I love my job so much that I keep just working and learning. I'm learning so much and I'm building so much. And then sometimes I'm like, I really want to do a live stream. I really want to create a video. I really want to write a blog post. I'm trying to like get to do it. There's not enough hours in my day to be able to do it. And I have stopped working at weekends. So now I'm like, how can I find the time to do all this stuff? So I think I do a terrible job. I do have a notebook and paper and I do literally like write things down and then tick them off. But but it's not a great, the next day the new page starts and it's like, so I don't think there's a great solution for basically being able to do everything. I think sometimes you just have to say, right, you're not going to be able to do it perfectly and that's okay too. And you'll get around to it when you can. And hopefully, yeah, but I do it terribly, I think.
I think we need to do what works for us though, right? Everyone's different and, like I said, things change, right? I used to have a magnetic whiteboard that I used to use a lot and now I'm going more digital. So I think we've got to do what works for us and then also things might change, as well. So I think, our situation may change, you might get more space, less space, travel more, travel less, etc. and so forth. It's interesting to see. Mikey says, I used to use Evernote too. Yeah, their update was shocking. It was, yeah, not good. It's true. Okay, we've been going for almost 2 hours, and I think, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone here on stage and everyone in the audience for the great questions. I know I've asked this already. We've got Mario dancing. Okay, it's that time. So yeah, so Gina, you're in Germany, right? It must be about 7:45. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we've got Debbie, the same time zone for you, right? In Palma, 7:45.
Yeah, correct.
Ruth, you're the same as me in UK and Portugal. You're 6:45. Yeah. And then I'm going to take a big guess. Mario, you're in Brazil, which is, I don't know if that's like East Coast or West Coast. I'm going to guess it's like 9:45.
Oh, no, it's like closer to 3 p.m.
Oh, it's 3 p.m. Okay, it's not such a big gap as I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My apologies. So it's great to see we've got people all around the world. And I know we've got people from Philippines and all over the place in chat as well.
Well, before we end up, I have to bring my dog to the live stream, because every live stream that I participate, I bring she, and she's lovely, and she also likes to play piano that I have here, my keyboard, and well, this is Gamor. Sorry.
Wonderful. You paid the dog tax.
Sorry.
You remember when you were told that you are now supposed to pay tax because you have more followers than Eddie?
Oh yes.
Yeah, no, it's the dog tax, because
in dog tax.
Yeah,
Yes,
when you bring dogs to YouTube, people give more likes. So people give more likes for Gamor. She deserves it.
Yes.
Absolutely. She looks like a good dog.
Yes, and a good open source coding documentation
Mascot.
collaborative dog mascot. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
A big thank you again to everyone in the chat for being supportive and being here to support us. Don't forget to give these amazing GitHub Stars a follow. Their links are in the description below as well, and I have shared it in the chat as we've gone along too. Give this video a thumbs up as well. It really helps support my channel. Thank you very much. And subscribe if you haven't already. So I need to beat Mario. Mario's on 30,000. I'm on 20,000. Right, we need to get 10,000 by tomorrow. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right.
Awesome. Thank you all so much again. I'm going to bring up the timer and I want to end the stream. If any of you want to hang around for a few more minutes, feel free. If you need to go, just feel free to drop off. I know Gina is going to some exciting event that isn't related to tech. So it's good to get some downtime. Have a great time.
Smash into pieces. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wait, there are people dancing. I've removed the timer because everyone was dancing. So I needed to remove that. These are the bloopers at the end of the assemble.
Yeah,
The after party. The after party.
When is the next GitHub Stars assemble? Perfect bloopers at the end. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.